In this video, I'm going to talk about osteoarthritis of the big toe joint, sometimes called Hallux Rigidus or Hallux Limitus. So I'm going to tell you about what the condition is, what causes it, what the symptoms are, and what treatments are available, from self-help ideas right through to surgical management and everything in between. I'm Stephen Bunting. I'm an MSK physiotherapist and sonographer based in the UK. Welcome to the channel where we explore the common MSK problems that everyday people experience and the evidence-based treatments that can help. Hallux Rigidus and Limitus are from the ancient Greek, with hallux meaning the big toe, rigidus meaning totally stiff, and limitus meaning partially stiff. So the name essentially describes one of the main symptoms, stiffness of the big toe. The other main symptom is pain around the big toe, because it's caused by osteoarthritis of the main joint, the metatarsophalangeal or MTP joint. Now I've done a separate video all about osteoarthritis in general, which you can check out up here, or I'll put a link in the description. And so I won't go into details about osteoarthritis here, but suffice to say that it's a degenerative condition where the joint cartilage becomes thin, the bone ends become roughened, and the joint becomes stiff and painful. Sometimes the joint can then become angled like this, which we call a bunion. Other symptoms are redness and swelling if the joint is inflamed. And when it's like this, the symptoms can be similar to some other MSK conditions that you might have heard of. The first is gout, which also commonly affects the big toe MTP joint. Now I've covered gout in detail in another video, also up here, and also rheumatoid arthritis, which can also affect the big toe joints. And again, I've done a separate video looking at the differences between osteoarthritis and rheumatoid arthritis, which you can also see up here. So if your big toe joint is red, swollen and very painful, then do get it checked out, because it's important to get early treatment if it is indeed gout or rheumatoid arthritis. Which brings us nicely onto diagnosis, which is usually made based on having these classic symptoms of joint pain and stiffness when walking or standing, and then an X-ray to look at the joint surfaces. This will also give an idea as to the degree of joint degeneration and any angulation of the bones. Here is an X-ray showing mild OA, and here is one showing severe degenerative changes. And here is one showing the typical angulation that we see in a bunion. Blood tests and MRI or ultrasound scans are not usually needed unless there is a suspicion of something else going on, such as the gout or rheumatoid arthritis that I mentioned earlier. Big toe osteoarthritis is very common. It affects around 1 in 40 people over the age of 50. We really don't know why some people get it and others don't, but we do know that there are risk factors associated in developing the condition, and top of that list is family history, so genetic factors seem likely to be involved. Other strong risk factors are being overweight, for obvious reasons, previous injury to the joints of the foot, or the frequent use of poor footwear, particularly high heels, which is why the condition is twice as common in women than in men. And there is also an increasing base of evidence to suggest that poor general health and well-being can also affect joint health. So things like poor diet and lack of exercise can be risk factors in themselves. So let's look at some of the treatment options, and we'll start with some of the self-help things that you can do right now. Firstly, and it might seem obvious, but just have a think about the things that you might be doing that are aggravating the joint, and then try and reduce them. That might be reducing your walking or running distances for a time, or stopping a certain activity that you know is annoying the toe. Once it's calmed down, you might then be able to start increasing these activities again, but on a slow and steady basis this time, and give your joint plenty of time to strengthen and adapt. Footwear is also going to be a major factor in keeping your symptoms under control. You will have no doubt worked out already that walking barefoot or in soft floppy shoes which bend easily at the forefoot like this will be more painful than something which is more rigid like this. Hiking shoes or boots will generally tend to have stiffer soles and will usually be more comfortable for people with big toe arthritis. And on the opposite end of the spectrum, heels are going to be an absolute no-no. And I know that many of you won't want to hear this, and I'm really sorry to be the bearer of bad news, but heels really are the enemy of the human foot, and indeed they might well have been the cause of your big toe arthritis in the first place. Now, alongside footwear, you might also want to try one of the orthotics or insoles available for this condition. There are quite a few options out there, but you can mainly divide them into two types. The ones which try and support or correct any angulation or bunion that you might have developed, or if your toe is fairly straight, then the rigid insoles which try and limit your toe joint movement by stiffening the sole of your shoe. So if you can't or won't wear a stiff-soled shoe like a hiking boot or a hiking shoe, then these insoles can help create a similar effect. And you can move them from shoe to shoe as needed. I'll put links in the description to some insoles and toe position correctors that I can recommend. Now, if you struggle to find an insole or orthotic which works for you, then you could also see a podiatrist who can assess your foot and make an orthotic which is specifically designed for your individual toe. The next self-treatment worth trying are the exercises and stretches. So if your toe is stiff, then just trying to stretch it like this can be helpful in gaining some extra movement. Support the base of the joint with one hand and then move the end part with your other hand. Start by gently bending the toe upwards and then holding for a few seconds. Repeat 5 to 10 times. And then do the same for the opposite movement by bending the toe downwards. Doing this little and often every day for a few weeks will often help to improve the range of movement and therefore reduce pain. The other exercises worth trying are the calf and Achilles stretches, as more mobility here can reduce some of the tension on the forefoot, particularly when walking. For the calf muscle stretch, lean against the wall with the calf you want to stretch behind you. Keep your back foot on the floor and your knees straight. Now, slowly lean forwards into the wall until you feel a stretch in the calf muscle just here. Hold for 15 to 30 seconds and repeat 3 times. For the Achilles, stand with the foot you want to stretch behind you, keep both feet flat on the floor and then bend both knees as if going to sit down. Feel the stretch in the Achilles region just here, and again hold for 15 to 30 seconds and repeat 3 times. I would do these exercises 2 to 3 times daily until your improvements have plateaued, and then once every few days to maintain your flexibility. Next up are the medications, but these are only really going to be helpful if the joint is inflamed, so maybe a bit red or swollen, or if the pain, which is usually mild and manageable, has suddenly flared up badly. In this case, then anti-inflammatories can often help. You can use tablets like ibuprofen, but the gels can also be really effective as the joint is very superficial and so the gel can usually penetrate to an effective depth. In the UK, you can buy 5% strength ibuprofen gel over the counter under various brand names like Ibuleve or Voltarol, or the 10% strength gel can be prescribed by a doctor. Just make sure you check with a pharmacist before using anti-inflammatories, as not everyone can take them. If you do use them though, they need to be taken or applied if it's a gel regularly, as stated on the packet. They won't work if you use them now and then. Now, these videos are mainly a summary of just evidence-based treatments, but if I leave it here, then the comment section will no doubt be full of dietary suggestions and various supplements which people have found to be helpful in their individual case. But it must be said that when subjected to large clinical trials, supplements rarely stand up to their claims. But I have done a separate video all about diet and supplements for arthritis, which you can check out up here or in the video description if you want to. There are also a number of different treatments out there which can undoubtedly provide some therapeutic pain relief in the short term, but perhaps don't do much else for the long term. This includes things like therapeutic heat, which can undoubtedly help reduce pain. You can buy hot packs and electrically heated socks, but one of the time-honoured treatments is a hot wax bath, which can be helpful for the skin as well as provide that lovely warmth. Over the years, people have also told me that electrically heated foot spas, massages and the newer circulation boosters have helped to reduce pain after a long day walking or standing. Just remember that these machines won't cure anything, but they can make you feel better by reducing pain temporarily. I'll put some links in the description below to the type of products that people have recommended to me. Okay, so that about wraps things up for the self-help treatments. Now let's discuss the other treatments that a specialist clinician can provide. And the first thing that might be suggested is a cortisone injection. But because this is a fairly small joint, which in arthritis is often quite gnarly at the joint margins, I will always do these using ultrasound image guidance to ensure accuracy. It can be a bit hit and miss to try otherwise. And this can be a really helpful treatment, particularly for an inflamed joint which might be throbbing and aching at rest. If it doesn't help though, or the results are only short-lived, then it's not advisable to have cortisone injections repeated again and again. Instead, there are other injectable options, such as the viscoelastic products, which provide some joint lubrication. They can be helpful for mild to moderate joint arthritis. And then we have platelet-rich plasma, better known as PRP injections, and also stem cell injections, which are still being developed but do show some potential. They are, however, yet to be proven as an effective treatment for everyone at the moment. Finally, there are the surgical options, and there are different procedures available depending on the degree of arthritis and the position of the toe. So basically what the x-rays look like. Now, if the arthritis is mild and the problem is more due to stiffness caused by overgrowth at the joint margins, then a procedure called a cheilectomy might be a good option. The surgeon simply smooths down the bone spurs that are interfering with movement, and hopefully that will restore a normal range of motion. But if the arthritis is more advanced, then the options are usually either to fuse the joint so it no longer moves and is therefore no longer painful, or to do a joint replacement. There are pros and cons to each of these options, and so you're going to need to discuss your individual situation with a foot and ankle surgeon. If the toe is angled, or if you have a painful bunion, then the surgery will need to try and correct the deformity. There are many different procedures that surgeons can choose from, but one of the more common ones is the scarf and Aiken osteotomy, where the surgeon uses precise cuts to remove sections of the bone and then titanium screws to correct the toe position. So that's big toe osteoarthritis in a nutshell. Don't forget to check out some of the other videos I've mentioned, which look at gout, rheumatoid arthritis, osteoarthritis and diet and supplements for arthritis. Links to all of those videos can be found in the description. Okay, well, thanks for watching, take care and bye for now.